My name's David O'Coin. I'm from Nook, and I want to tell you a little bit about why we created this little haven of quiet and focus. So the origin story goes back to frustration with the open office and how it had become a disaster zone, in particular for people who would self-classify as introvert or people on the spectrum, people with special needs like dyslexia, uh, ADHD, anything that would be exacerbated in an open office environment where people are made to feel in the spotlight. So we wanted to create a little withdrawal space that you could retreat to briefly in order to self-regulate. It comprises of a couple of key ingredients, has many features, but the three key ingredients are a personal space where you can set yourself, feel comfortable, feel a sense of relief on leaving the open environment, but crucially, not isolating you. So you can still feel and hear part of everything that's going on, but that you feel like you've stepped away from it for a moment, and it creates a sort of a tacit understanding between you and your colleagues. David's gone into the Nook. I'll talk to him when he comes out, or perhaps we can even have a conversation together. That's aspect number one, personal space without isolation. Aspect number two is all to do with noise. Noise is the single most disturbing factor in the open office environment. It gets into your head, and there's very little you can do about it. So having a space that's acoustic like this, despite its openness, you can feel it, you can hear it once you sit inside, that it's got this sound dampening effect that allows you to lower your voice and be able to concentrate or be able to have a nice conversation without disturbance from all the noise outside, but also without feeling like you're disturbing or adding to that cacophony. So, an acoustic space that allows you to feel calm and to focus in. And then the last key ingredient, point number three, is lighting. And not just that the lighting is right for the space, but also that you control it, that you're allowed to, even just in a small way, choose your own tone and your own brightness, whatever it is you might wish, your own level of light, and allowing you that element of control allows you to feel like the space is yours, even if only for 10 minutes or for a couple of hours, whatever it is it might be. Those three components, if you can provide those to people, and if you can do it in ways in which multiple people can create their own setting in a larger open space, that will allow for people to self-regulate better. And that means that you'll be catering for neurodiversity, for different types of brains, because we believe one size does not fit all. I think most of us understand that now, right? One size does not fit all, but different types of brains working on different types of tasks at different times of the day, depending on how tired you are, whether you've just eaten, whether you've just come out of a meeting, whether you've got a meeting to go to, whether you're about to go home in the next half an hour. All of those things have an effect on uh, your ability to be productive. So allowing spaces like this for a person to self-regulate will allow them to be at their most productive, will allow them to be able to set the scene around their productivity and their capability. So a couple of other details to talk about. Those are the key sort of cornerstones of the product. And as you can see, we're in a co-working space at the moment, so lots of activity around us. I've taken the back wall off because it's a very modular product. The modularity is a cornerstone of the design. The modularity is allowing us right now, in times of coronavirus, to make modifications to the product that were built into its DNA. So, for example, you may notice that there's no seat opposite me. That's because we've taken the seat out of there and put it around the back so the two people can still use the Nook, but not for meetings right now. Okay? So for meetings, we have screens that you can put in place to protect us from each other and from uh, our breath and what have you that might carry the virus, to allow us to still have meetings, which is very important. Nook is for bringing people together, but we can do it in such a way that's responsible in this challenging time. So with a couple of thumb screws, remove the seat opposite, put it behind us, and then we were able to allow it for a single person use for a period of time until the situation changes, and then you can change it again. So it can come with a complete back. That back could be whiteboard. It could be open like this, so you can still feel like you're part of the environment. You can see everything, but you're in a stepped out kind of space where you can self-regulate and feel like it's your little space for a period of time, which is very important when it comes to productivity. So some of the other aspects is, yeah, obviously it's got a roof, and that roof is shaped in a certain way to do two things. One is to obviously look and therefore feel like a home. We've lost our sense of space, sense of self in the workspace. Our desks have been taken away from us. Our cubicles, our offices are all gone. So to allow a little space that makes it feel like it's yours, like your home for a little period of time, is an obvious and yet nevertheless effective metaphor. And the second thing is having a space like that with this shape has an acoustic effect on the environment. So it allows for the bounce of the sound around the space, masking acoustic materials and what have you around the space, also serve to soak up the high frequency noise. And that leaves you with a low frequency, which is much more palatable, much more enjoyable, you might even say, for the human brain. It's why you notice air conditioning would fall into the background, whereas a baby's cry would come right to the foreground of your mind. So we're taking away those high frequency noises that disturb the brain and leaving the low frequency behind, which feels comfortable for the brain. So lighting, acoustics, you also notice that I was able to plug my laptop in when I arrived. I can charge my phone. I've got power, USB, but I've also got wireless power charging. Space underneath so I can store my bag. So that's nice and convenient. I'm also able to let my heels fit in underneath. It's an important element that we found when we designed the first one, which had a wall straight down here, and your heels hit off that wall. And that wasn't very comfortable at all. So we wanted to make sure that you could bring your heels in underneath yourself so you can change your seating position over time. It's not meant for the entire day, but the idea is it's a comfortable occasional space that you could spend a period of time in, a couple of hours maybe, and that would be a very productive period of time for you. So you've got power, there's also space for your cable to drop down in behind so you don't have cluttered desk area. We've also very expressly put in a shelf, and that shelf is to create a two-dimensional workspace so that you can get your phone, your wallet, your cup of coffee, your bottle of water, whatever it is, up off that desk area. So you've got a clean workspace and a clean mind space in which to do that work as well. Furthermore, we've created a large desk space to allow two people to work comfortably and at a distance, striking a balance, always trying to strike a balance between factors. And here we're striking a balance between enough space for two people to work, but not too far apart that you don't feel connected to each other. Coming in here to sit down allows two people to feel like it's their space for a little period of time and that they are working together and they can be productive together, but it's not putting you on top of each other. Generous proportions, left to right as well. So it's somewhere where you can indeed move around, that you can use it in different ways, apart from the modularity, just in the current form that it's in. You can sit in it a number of different ways. Yes, four people can squeeze in, but that's not really what this, let's say, dimension was designed for. This is meant to be a spacious two-person pod. We have a deeper pod, which is for four people, and we have a slimmer pod, which is also for two people, but for use in corridors where maybe a dimension of this wouldn't be ideal. You don't want to take up too much space. You might have fire regulations to take into consideration. So having a narrower product for two people helps you to activate those corridor spaces and makes them more useful. And that's a way to get extra use out of an office space. And that's one of the things we say too. This isn't just a retrofittable withdrawal space huddle pod. It's also a way of activating dead space, space under stairs, space in a corridor like here that wouldn't otherwise be terribly comfortable to sit and chat in, space down hallways outside of offices, space in atria, for example, very popular in science parks, in education and spaces like that for one-to-one conversations. So it's a multifunctional product built to be agile, not just in the sense of wheels underneath, which is an important factor to be able to move it around without having to involve people from facilities, but also agile in the sense that usable in different scenarios. So it could be, in an extreme example, it could be somewhere where you come to breakfast with a colleague early in the morning, then somewhere where you get your head down to get some work done, then somewhere possibly for you to lunch together, then somewhere for meetings in the afternoon, then a kind of decompression space before you go home, or if there's events running during the day or in the evening, it could be used as an event booth or a networking booth, or it could also be used for training as a clinic. For example, in a co-working space, often we see them used by lawyers, accountants, banking organizations to come in and give clinics one-to-one with people. So incredibly helpful, incredibly useful in all different kinds of ways in that regard. Also, its agility. What we should point out is that when we design for the Nook, we always, when we design, we think about the Nooks that exist out there already in the wild. So right now with COVID, we've designed screens, we've reconfigured the product, we're designing air filtration systems, we're enabling antimicrobial surfaces, table, shelf, back wall, fabric, and all of that's retrofittable. Everything we come up with, the idea is that this product can evolve with your organization over time. It is a growing system of components. And it is no longer just the huddle pod that you see here now, but it's also a solo pod for one person and an open pod, no table, no chairs, no floor, more or less a shelter. So you can put your own sit stand desk, your own ergonomic chair inside. You can put a wheelchair inside. It's a truly accessible product that doesn't restrict itself in terms of use, but is open to interpretation. And so we see this as a growing system of components that can help your organization start with one, start with several, build a system, and grow over time in order to enhance your company's capabilities around neuro inclusivity, physical inclusivity, sensory spaces. We're even developing a daybed type pod and a pod for yoga and mindfulness. Because at our core is people's well being. That's where we started from. We created a product that was very obviously built around meetings and connections, but it was built with well being and neuro inclusivity, neurodiversity in mind. So as the system grows and as the products grow across that system, you'll see that those elements come to the fore more and more. So now we're at a point where we can be part of your company's journey as your company grows and evolves, and we can help you respond to COVID and deliver reasonable density in the space while providing all of these features and enhancements to your workspace that cater for different types of brains, different abilities physically, and cater for the different functions of your space, and cater for the fact that your workspace now is going to evolve to be less about people sat at dedicated desks working on their laptops all day long. That's probably something that's going to happen remotely a little bit more, but that it's becoming more of a social space, a collaborative space, a space where people come together to meet, to have good conversations, to collaborate, to get group work done, to communicate with their colleagues, probably through video a little bit more, because those colleagues who are working from home or working from co-working instead of working in the office still need to be included. So it makes sense to have individual spaces where you can do video conferencing, but without excommunicating yourself from the environment. So those are the key cornerstones: agility, um, neuro inclusivity, accessibility. And the final one I wanted to talk about very quickly is sustainability. Often sustainability is seen as kind of two things: make it from recyclable materials and um, make it such that it can be easily recycled, in that it can be taken apart and separated into its constituent components. I think those two are important, but there's three other really important things that go into it. The next one is that I think the product should be built to last, and this product is built to last. It's built durable. It's built to withstand the typical kind of behavior that it would get in an office environment, or in a science park, or in even an educational institution, which, let me tell you, is some of the toughest challenges that we've faced. But we've come through it. It's built to last, but it's no good being built to last if it can't change, because environments change, needs change. So we think it's really important that the product not only is durable but also flexible, to be able to change over time, so that you can come back to it in a year, 2 years, 6 months, 3 years, 5 years, whatever it is might be, and change it for the latest interior, change it to match your environment, change it to whatever it is you need it to be. So not only can you specify it to be in white or grey or black or wood, not only can you specify the fabric to be whatever color or even material that you want it to be, but you can also come back after a period of time and we can do a refresh to bring it back to new, or we can do a change out to adjust to suit your environment, or you can add new accessories, like when we brought in wireless charging or the whiteboard rear wall. That was all retrofittable, and the same will be true as everything we do in the future. So those are four components of sustainability, but there's one final one. I alluded to it there briefly, and it's that closing that circle. So to be able to come back to us and to say, okay, we need to change it, or okay, we're done with it. And that's an important element that we want to be able to help you on that journey. We want to be able to facilitate, bring it to its next stage in that journey. So we either help you refresh it, or we take part in it, help you to become part of a program where we can bring that back to ourselves, and then we can sell that product on or rent it out from there on. So sustainability to us is an important part of that journey, and we want to be contributing to long-term value for your organization by helping your people, by helping community, yours and the global community, and by helping the planet to make sure it ticks all of those boxes and it satisfies all of those needs, because we need it to do those things as we move forward, not just from the point of view of corporate responsibility, but also from the point of view of responsibility to each other. So that gives you a reasonable picture. You can tailor it to what you need. You can change it over time. It'll give you that neuro inclusivity component. It'll give you agility. It's flexible. You don't have to worry about investing in it. It's something that you're going to be able to adapt over time, and it's going to do what your organization needs it to do. So I hope that gives you a real reasonable bit of an insight into the Nook system as it's now become, the cornerstones of the things we care about, why we created it, what it does, and how it can help your organization as it grows over time. Thanks very much for taking the time to listen. Hope that was of interest. Look forward to talking to you again soon, and please reach out if you have any ideas for how we can improve it in the future, because we love to grow with you and not just tell you what you should be doing, but help you to get there. Thanks very much indeed. Bye bye.